In this video, we get the 1.8 Turbo Cruze back up and running, and we have some fun with it. Let's go. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new, I'm Matt. It's been a hot minute since we worked on the car. For those of you that have been following, the reason is my girlfriend was really sick and ended up passing away. It's really affected me big time, to say the least. But I feel like I'm at a good spot where I'm ready to start doing some of the things that I enjoy again, which is getting the 1.8 liter Chevy Cruze back up and running. And if you hadn't noticed, got my ears lowered. The SuperTech valves that I ordered were no-go. I'll post a picture here why. The stem was too long, the retainer height was not the correct height, so we decided to ditch that, just get some stock GM valves. We'll put this thing back together, and I'm getting rid of the locked out VVT. I think that is an issue, and I'll explain why in a little bit. So we've got everything organized here. There are a few of these kind of just Engine Tech brand lifters I'm gonna toss out because these little things right here, this follower kind of, whatever keeps it from rotating, whatever you want to call that, I've noticed on one of them that these things just want to come off. So these are pretty cheaply made. Let's see, I think I can pull this one off. Look at that. The GM ones don't do that. So these are out. Got 3 lifters to replace those crappy ones, because when I initially ordered these others, they didn't have a full set. Got 8 new valves, and this is something else we'll talk about here in a second. New cylinder head gasket, exhaust manifold gasket, and a genuine tensioner, because who knows, maybe part of the issue could have been that as well. So let's just toss a new timing tensioner in there as well. And I've got my assorted torque to yield bolts for the camshaft gears, as well for the timing tensioner. So the reasoning behind these, which I'll pull one of them out, is I had initially just redid the wiring harness on this intake manifold, and one of these injectors was just not running. I mean, we were running off of 3 cylinders. So I've got an extra one of these harnesses that I'm just going to remove this one and use these adapters going from the EV1 to the EV6, also known as US carb. And these are some American-made units by ICT Billet. So we'll use these, and I'm gonna clean all this stuff up. And it looks like it could use just a little bit of grinding right here, a little over here, because it is hitting something on the cylinder head, so I'll just notch that, not a big deal. Here is the cylinder head back from the machine shop. They checked over it. They said the valve seats look fine, the guides look just fine. However, they did have to take about 10 thousandths off of this thing because there was a pretty low point right here. So we got her nice and decked up, and if this isn't a sign that this cylinder wasn't running, then I don't know what is. If you look down inside the intake port, you can see where the fuel was spraying in these, but not so much in this one. We don't have that little stain, kind of like we got right here, where the fuel's just spraying into the intake port. But first things first, bam! Because it was milled, I am going to use a 39 thousandths shim. Remove the center shim out of the gasket. We'll degrease this thing, coat it with a little bit of copper head gasket sealer. We'll stack them up, put the thing back together. But while this is drying, I'm gonna clean this nasty thing up because there are shards inside of here from machining that need to be cleaned out. We'll get her all nice and clean, and then we'll assemble the damn thing, which is my least favorite thing to do, putting valves into these cylinder heads, because those keepers are tiny. Get out of my airspace! Now that she's all nice and degreased, not that you can really see that because of the angle of the light, but I'm gonna hit it with a couple coats of some copper spray gasket. We'll let her dry, and then we'll wash the cylinder head and get after some of that other stuff while this is drying. Yummy. 2. All right, she's all nice and coated. I'm gonna hang this somewhere else as cars keep passing by. That ought to do it. Let's see if we can't shine her up. Now that we got that gasket taken apart, geez, that sun, and the valves inside the cylinder head, let's go ahead and toss the gaskets on along with the cylinder head. Let's do it. Toss this bottom one on. Like so. Little homemade spacer. Boy, this thing's still tacky. Guy. All right. Now let's toss our degreased cylinder head on. There we go. And now let's toss our studs in. Bolt this thing down. Let's get after it. Let's get excited. It's been a while. Torque this thing down. All right, final torque value here. There we go. Well, it is the next day and I have been going hard at it. And this is one of the last things I needed to do. I went ahead and put these adapters on. Got the wiring from this other intake manifold over there. And then just clearanced it right here where it looked like it was just kind of dinging into something. And then I just kind of hogged these out just a little bit more so that way some of these threads were kind of catching, making it a little bit of a pain in the butt to install. I'm going to toss the intake on and that'll be pretty much it, just topping off fluids and whatnot. Been doing a lot of this off camera, but my goal is just to get this thing started again and we'll have some fun with it. She is all back together. Now, let's see if we can't fire this bad boy up. Here goes nothing. Well, I think that's about as far as we're going to get tonight. I need to charge the battery. We'll try it again tomorrow. Do a little tuning. We'll have some fun. Well, it is the next day. I did have to go get a new battery after all. So we got a new battery installed. Here she is in the daylight, as you guys have seen before. Let's see if we can't fire her up. And we got Apollo in the back seat. I don't know what the hell he's thinking. Not sure if this thing is going to be moving right this second because it needs a little bit of a tune. Okay, wish me luck. All right, she's running a little fat. I'm waiting for my computer to charge. We'll plug into it, tweak some things, and we'll get this thing moving. All right. Finally. Did a quick little change in the tune. Kind of starting all over, to be honest. She's a little lean though. Aside from my own spillage, I don't see any new leaks. Looking pretty good. All right. After all this time, I think we're on the right path. Well, over the Well, over the course of the past few days, I have done about 35 different drives, logs, adjustments to the tune, and this thing is just about dialed in, at least enough to get it to a dyno. And you won't believe what kind of pain in the neck it is trying to street tune with one person. It's just not good. Pain in the ass. Let's go ahead and give her a little bit of a cold start. To give her just a touch throttle to get going, but fires up. E85 life, you know what I mean? But it fires up. Let me pop the hood. Let's circle around back. She's pretty darn quiet up front. She's running pretty good. Let's take her for all right, let's take her for a little bit of a spin. Got some temp in her, and for the most part I've just kind of been doing drivability tuning. I have gotten up to into boost a handful of times, but nothing crazy. I think I did one pull just to kind of make sure my feeling was pretty close to get it onto the dyno, so I'm not wasting that much time renting out a dyno. The plan is to rent out a dyno hourly and just do it myself. Why not? Let's go for a cruise. See how we did on the tune. Whew, man, it's been muggy and hot. Ugh. I have a feeling this camera is just gonna want to fall down. Got some drivability down again. Not doing anything crazy until I get to a dyno. Still do have some spots that need to be ironed out, which isn't that big of a deal. But I'm excited to have it back up and running. I've burnt through at least half a tank. I was on 3/4 and now I'm down to less than 1/4 of a tank, so we are getting there. Well, it is another day. I have the car pulled into the shop and I want to fix something that I just have not been happy with. And I'll show you what that is. By the way, third tank of gas by now. Everything is running great. It's been reliable. Finally, man. Anyhow, this was made for that 2.75 inch pipe, and I just did not want to fill those gaps in the mass airflow sensors, just not sitting in there right. So I'm going to cut this thing off. And I've got a new mass airflow sensor flange that is for 3.5 inch pipe, which that's what this is. So let's cut this thing off, add this, and I'm possibly thinking about breaking out the air intake temperature sensor and putting it right before the throttle body, because I want to see what it's doing post intercooler. Alright, that's much better. Go ahead and weld this thing up. Alright, let's tack this thing in. Make sure it sits just fine. I'll weld her up. Weld her in. Well, we definitely got her welded up. I hit a couple spots a little too hard. Well, that's what she said. So I'm gonna have to come back here, clean this up. It's been a while since I've welded, but it's just a mass airflow sensor. And we'll just clean this thing up, toss her back on the car, and we'll be good to go. Well, here she is all finished up. Gave her a little bit of a brushed metal look. Used the Tootsie Rolls to smooth this stuff out. I think it looks pretty good. Man, I need to give the same treatment to that, but we'll worry about that later. Let's go ahead and toss this thing in and move on to other things. There we are, it's all finished up. Now I just need to figure out a way to encase that air filter, but that's for another time. So I'm gonna take her for a little bit of a spin, and then we'll start working on the math tuning for this thing a little bit. Now that we have this completely taken care of, we'll get the math side of things as close as I can dial them in before we go to a dyno. She is back in action. I've been able to have some fun with it, have played around with an SRT on the freeway, a few other cars. I just wasn't trying to record it and drive at the same time. Very hard to do. Feel like I'm missing something. I decided to get rid of the cam gears because I don't think that's the issue. I don't know if the valves were just overheating to the extent where I just need to, if I do a run, turn the engine off, let it cool down. And I'm thinking of moving this thing more towards a strictly quarter-mile drag car. So that'll be a lot of fun. But I want to install that muffler first, get those R888R tires on, have some fun with it, see what the difference is at the quarter mile with its full weight and as much as I can pull out of that car, and we'll see what it can do. Thanks for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Let me know what you think down in the comments. And until next time, peace out. Where'd you peace out?